Ladies and gentlemen of YouTube, it's time to play Blood Ball.
Threes that I love so dear, bring the power of a new era to me!
What is going on, guys? This is Mack from Team Cardfighters United coming at you with another deck profile. I am super excited for this one. I have waited a very long time to do it, mainly because a lot of the cards that I needed for the deck I couldn't get for a while, so I was just waiting it out. But I finally got the last of them today, minus like one or two cards that I'll mention. So without further ado, let's just get right into this. I'm super excited. So this is my Dudley build. And for the starter, of course, we have Dudley Little Road. Dudley Little Road's skill is right there. Let me see if I can focus it a little bit so you can actually read it. Hold on. It's the wrong way. Let's go this way. Almost got it. There we go. So this is Dudley Little Road. His skill is Soul Blast 1 when your Vanguard with Dudley attacks, and you can bind him face up, and then you call him right back to an open rearguard circle. And if you have 2 or more Dudley rearguards when you do that, he gains 3k. So he's basically an extra attack. He can boost a rearguard column, and then when your Vanguard attacks, you can Soul Blast 1, bind him, call him, and he could boost the other rearguard column. That's what you want to do with him. So he's a very good starter. He's also the only starter that Dudleys have, and honestly, I like him a lot. So, alright, let's move into triggers. I run 6 crit. Obviously, Silence Joker being at a 4 of, because this isn't Rising Nova and Liar Lips doesn't work in here, so I'm going to run 4 of the effect trigger that does work. I do like both arts for it, though, so I have both. So 6 crit. 6 draw. I just like both of these arts. I especially like her. So 6 draw. And then 1 of each shield trigger, because there are 4 now. And this one is... ugh. I always gag whenever I drive check it or draw it or do anything with it, but yep. Alright, so there's my trigger lineup. Now on to grade 3s. Now this I'm excited for because I put a lot of thought into this. So we're running 3 Dudley Jessica. Dudley Jessica's skill is GB2. All of your units with Dudley in their card name in your front row get +2. And then if you stride a Dudley, you can search your deck for a card with Dudley in its card name, call it to an open rearguard, and then the unit that you called with that effect gets +5. So there is literally no downside to her. She is completely free. As soon as you stride, you just get +3 right off the, or you just superior call and then get +5 on that unit right off the bat. There's no repercussion to it, and it's wonderful. Next grade 3 we're running is the new Dudley grade 3, Dudley Turbo Rappler. I call him Dudley Turbo. His skill is GB1 when a unit with Dudley in its card name is placed on rearguard during your turn's battle phase, it gets +5. I never use it for that. Its other skill though is when your G unit strides, you choose one of your Vanguards and it gets the ability to Soul Blast 1 whenever your rearguard with Dudley attacks, and it gets an extra 5,000 power, and then once it gets that 5,000 power, it goes back into your soul. So it's basically a free 5k to every Dudley that attacks when you stride, as long as you have 1 soul open, because just you Soul Blast 1 and then it goes back in soul, and then you Soul Blast again, and yeah, it's a loop, and it's very, very nice. So 3 of him. Then the last grade 3 that I'm running, and this one's going to surprise some people, is Dudley Moses. Now this card is it was one of the generic Legions back when Legion was just starting out, and to be honest, I don't think they meant to make him a Dudley, But his skill is essentially, obviously, he legions with Dudley Monty, which is the 10k grade 2. And if he attacks a Vanguard on rear guard, he gets an extra 2,000 power. So since Dudleys don't have a definitive 12k attacker, I figured I'd put 2 of this guy in for 2 reasons. One reason is that I can actually legion with him because I run the Dudley Monty in here. And the second reason is because I can superior call him really easily with Jessica or with Caligula, just whatever I can superior call him with, and he's a 12k attacker right off the bat. So he's a very good card. Despite appearances, I actually like him a lot. He's really useful. So that's it for grade 3s. On to the grade 2s. We run 2 Wink Killer Misery. It's a very good tech card. I run 2 just because it helps set up plays. So 2 of that. Then we're running 3 Dudley Mason. Dudley Mason is staple in a lot of Spike Brothers decks, but it's most important in this deck. And you'll notice that my grade 2s have a lot of 3-ofs. I don't have any 4-ofs. I think I only have 1 4-of in the whole deck, actually. Nope, not including my triggers and my perfect cards. I only have 1 4-of in the deck. But yeah, Dudley Mason's in here, obviously. Its skill is Counterblast 1. Choose a card from your hand and put it into the soul. When his attack hits, you can search your deck for a card, reveal it to your opponent, and call it to a rearguard circle. So it's pretty good. Pretty good card. And it's Dudley, which this is a Dudley deck, so we need those. Next is 3 Dudley Monty. Nothing really to say about him. He's a 10k, but I run him for 2 reasons. First of all, the numbers actually hit kind of magically with him. And second of all, if you feel like you're going to be rushed on grade 2 and you go first, you can ride him and you essentially make it harder for them to rush you, so they can't just attack you with their 9k grade 2s, which honestly helps a lot. Plus, again, he legions with this guy. So, yeah. And he's a 25k legion attack, so it's pretty good. Alrighty, next grade 2 we run, and the last grade 2 we run is 3 Dudley Ingram. Dudley Ingram is very, very good. Its skill is essentially GB1. Whenever a Dudley is placed on the rearguard circle during your battle phase, he gets plus 3,000 power. So he actually works really well with the starter and Caligula too. He just pumps himself up the more you superior call during your turn, so it's very, very nice card. And it's honestly something that Dudley's really needed. They needed something like that. So that's it for grade 2s. Now on to my grade 1s. We run 4 Kissmark Alma. I've noticed that I don't actually use her quite as much because the counterblasts aren't that heavy in this deck. But she's still nice to have for those moments when like I overextend my counterblasts. I am able to countercharge them with this or with the crit. So yeah, unflip perfect guards. 1 Dudley Phantom. Now I'm debating taking him out. Just this card. I'm debating taking him out and replacing him with 1 copy of Mayhem Tiger. Just because Mayhem Tiger, if I can manage to superior call him, can be devastating for my opponent. But right now I'm keeping Dudley Phantom in. He's just a 10k booster to any Spike Brothers unit. And then at the end of the turn that he boosts, he goes to the bottom of the deck. I used him in my old deck a while back and then took him out for a while. I might take him out again, but I don't know. I'm considering it because he's one of the only grade 1 Dudleys I actually have, so we'll see what happens. So there's 1 of him. Then I run... Ooh, that's out of order. There we go. Then I run 2 Acrobat Verdi, Stride Fodder. Just pretty self-explanatory. This is definitely a stride deck, so you want strides. 3 Machine Gun Gloria. Now, I've never used Machine Gun Gloria in any of my decks, I'll be honest with you. And that's because, for the most part, all of my decks that I've ever used with Spike Brothers didn't like the counterblast of her skill. But with this deck, I noticed after a while that I wasn't being very consistent with it, and my counterblasts were usually really open. Like, I had a lot of counterblasts available. So I decided to take out Dudley Daisy and put her in, and I am very glad I did, because she keeps this deck so consistent, and it is honestly, it astounds me how consistent the deck became as soon as she came into it. So 3 Machine Gun Gloria, and then lastly 4 Dudley Jenner. Now, this card is like a staple. You almost need 4 copies. I tested it with 3, and honestly I feel like 4 is the magic number for him. His skill is GB1, retire him at the beginning of your ride phase. If you have a Vanguard with Dudley in its card name, you can stride a G unit with Dudley in its card name without paying the stride cost. So he's a free stride. He's pretty great. He retires off the board to stride you, get you a new stride for free, and it's either going to be Caligula or Geronimo, and both of them are very good options. So very good card, and he makes the deck really easy. He honestly makes it really easy for the deck to fuel itself. So alright, that is it for the main deck. I had a lot of fun building this deck, and I've had a lot of fun testing it. I actually think I'm going to make this my main deck instead of my old Legion build. So I'm also considering building Rising Nova, but that's for a later date. On to strides. I'm running 4 King of Sadism, Dudley Caligula. I absolutely love this card. So his skill is Counterblast 1, choose 2 cards from your hand and put them into your soul, and choose a face down King of Sadism Dudley Caligula from your G zone and turn it face up. When he attacks a Vanguard, if you have a heart card with Dudley in its card name, you can reveal the top 11 cards of your deck, choose up to 3 cards with Dudley in their card names from among them, call them to separate open rear guards, and they get 2,000 power until end of turn. And then you shuffle. So he is really, really, really good. Like, really good. He basically made it so that you can go from 1 rear guard on your board to striding into him on Jessica, and then you have a full field. So it is an amazing card. And the best part is the units don't leave, so next turn you can use Geronimo and abuse that field, which means that not getting boosters when you use this is not that big a deal, as long as you can live the next turn, which usually I can. So he is very, very good, and you absolutely want to run 4. Usually I only use 2 just because he flips himself up, but in those situations where you're fighting Kagro or something, you definitely want him still in your deck after you've used him once, just so you can refill your board, because those swings can get really, really funky. So 4 Caligula. Next, a card that took me forever to find because he went out of stock for so long after everybody got excited about this deck. 4 copies of Dudley Geronimo. I've been looking for him forever. Anyway, his skill is act once per turn, counterblast 1, and flip a copy of him face up. If you have a heart card with Dudley in its card name, it gets, when your rear guard attacks, it gets an extra 5,000 power, and then if there are 2 or more face-up cards in your G-zone, they all can attack from the back row. So, there's actually an errata on this card. It just says you may attack, your rear guards can attack from the back row, but actually you can only attack the Vanguard, which isn't that big of a downside because I never actually attack rear guards with my back row cards anyway, because I'm usually trying to kill on this turn. But he's a fantastic card with Turbo, the new grade 3, because essentially what he does is he gives 5k to everything, and then if it's a Dudley that's attacking, which it usually is, you can Soul Blast 1, and then it's a 10k swing. So it's a 10k buff. So it basically becomes a bad end turn on stride. So very, very good. Love this card. Took forever to find, but it was worth it. So those are my Dudley strides. On to the next one. I run 1 Godly Speed Flash Boost. This is for those turns when you already have like almost a full board and there's no point in going into Caligula. He's good. He's good pressure too. 1 Madu for those times when I decide I'm going to Legion or when I get stuck with Dudley Moses, which does happen sometimes. 1 Dirty Picaro. This man is unbelievable in this deck. He literally makes it so that you can swing like a truck. And because of Turbo, If you stride into him and you've got a couple Dudleys on your field and one Soul Blast available, you can swing about 5 times, and all of them will be at least enough to hit with a 5k shield, even if it's just a 7k that you're calling for it. So he is very, very good with this deck, and yeah, there's not much more to say about him. He's a trump card for that last resort. Now on to G-Guards. I run 2 Ally. She's actually a little bit harder to pull off in Dudley's because they don't send themselves to the bottom of the deck as easily as Charge and the Legion build do. But she's still a very good G-Guardian, and if I play it right, I will usually be able to use her. Next, I run 1 Juggernaut Double Maximum. I might actually bump this up to 2 because he's really good in this deck, because he can send stuff to the bottom of the deck, which, again, Dudleys don't do on their own, so it helps. 1 copy of Dismal just for that VMAX matchup, so I can prevent myself from dying instantly, and also because Dimensional Robos are still a thing. And finally, 1 copy of Light Element Agleam, because dropping a card and drawing a card is Spike Brothers, it's candy to them. So yeah, that's pretty much it. That's my Dudley deck build. I hope you guys enjoyed. I know I enjoyed playing it and I enjoyed building it. Yeah, there's not really much else to say here. Be sure to stay tuned for more videos upcoming in the future. And remember, meta is disgusting.